A number of your opponents have been really critical of your 6-week abortion ban in Florida. Donald Trump, who's in Iowa today, has called it a terrible mistake. He says that you've gone too far. Can you trust that Donald Trump still has the views with regard to abortion that reflect the base of the GOP party?
Well, when you provide pro-life protections that says when a baby has a heartbeat, that there's protections, that is not something that pro-lifers think is terrible. They think that that is a noble and just thing to do. Of course, there have been many other states that have also done that. He claimed to be pro-life. He spoke at the March for Life and was waxing eloquently about how everybody counts. For him to then attack people like Iowa, South Carolina, Florida, all these other states, I thought was a big mistake. But look, I mean, I think he's taking positions that I think are different from what he took in 2015 when he first came onto the scene. And I do think he's a different candidate today than he was back then. And I think the one back then was probably closer to where Republican voters want to be than the latest iteration.
You said he claimed to be pro-life. Do you think he is pro-life?
Well, you tell me. I think that if you have something where you have a baby that has a detectable heartbeat, if you're pro-life, you would want to say that there should be protections there. And if he's saying that that's a terrible thing, I know most pro-life voters would think that he's wrong.
You're governor of Florida. You're a congressman from Florida. You're arguably the state's biggest cheerleader. Why is it that you suppose that the Florida Republican congressional delegates, the majority at any rate, support Donald Trump, who's been indicted 4 times over you?
Well, I have almost the uniform support of the Florida legislature, who's in Florida. So those are the guys I work with. We've been able to deliver huge wins for Florida. We've really set the standard for the nation. Right now, our economy is ranked #1 in the nation, according to CNBC. Education #1, according to U.S. News and World Report. We have businesses flocking to the state. People are flocking to the state. And I think those folks who we work with on a daily basis, almost 90-some% of them, come to the conclusion that when I've been able to do the leadership, if I could do that in Washington, it'd be good for the country. You know, I've never really been a guy that got along in D.C. I don't like the way it operates. I think we need a house cleaning up there. There will not be business as usual when I become president. There will be changes the way things are done business. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily sit well with everybody. And that's true with people in both parties up there.
But how does that work as president if you say, yeah, I've never really gotten along with the people in D.C.?
Well, because there's a culture that's developed, I think, that has put the interest of D.C. ahead of the interests of the American people. And you look, right now, 5 of the 8 wealthiest counties in the United States are suburbs of Washington, D.C. How does that happen? It isn't like they have abundant resources there or they're producing much of anything. They're producing a lot of debt, a lot of spending. People that are politically connected to the government are doing better. Meanwhile, Americans outside that area are basically bearing the cost with all these higher prices that the spending and the inflation have fueled. So what I represent is really saying, you know what, it's time that we, the people, come and that we're leading the charge up in D.C. It's not just about the people in D.C. It's about what you can do for folks throughout the country. And there's a lot of people that are struggling. If we can't have in this country people that are working hard, trying to raise kids, if they can't afford to buy a home or buy a car or even afford groceries, if America doesn't work for those people, we are not going to be successful as a country.